Hello, and welcome to the Darby Creek Diaries. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Gail Thompson, and I'm going to show you a really easy, fun, and pretty quick way to stretch those supplies making candles. Just a regular white pillar candle. This one's 6 inches tall, and I'm using Tim Holtz's Idea-ology. This is the AVIARY collage paper. And then also I'm going to use some plain, which may be discontinued. Isn't this beautiful? You could use tissue paper, but this is a little bit heavier, and I think, well, it's a lot more pretty. And I just think it takes the heat a little better and the stamping that we'll be doing later. Right now I'm just fitting it around the candle, and off screen, which is going to happen here and there today, I just made a little snip at the bottom so I would know where to trim it. You're going to want to use a trimmer because it's pretty important that you start off with a straight edge. It's kind of like that wall border. You don't want to start off with a crooked edge because it makes a mess. And if you press down on this, it will cut just fine. Now I'm just fitting it to it, and I'm going to have an overlap. I want it on the bottom. I don't want the overlap on the top. We'll take care of that later, and then just pull it snug, and it kind of just sticks to the candle. Now, we get out some freezer paper. This doesn't exactly fit, but did I want to get up and get another piece? No. Let your heat tool heat up for a good minute or so, and then you could also, by the way, use wax paper instead of freezer paper, but I liked the idea of the dry side of the freezer paper, so that's why I'm using that. And you want to keep moving that gun around. I do have this sped up, but I still move that gun around a lot. And you'll know it's working when you start seeing that image come through. If you don't stay in any one spot, or you're going to melt a hole in your candle. And this, once it's kind of like embossing powder. Once you get it rolling, it seems to go pretty quickly. And it's certainly not, anything that takes any talent. Just make sure you keep your fingers away because that heat tool, that tip of that is really hot. But the candle's big enough that you can handle it, and the wax isn't that hot. So just keep your hands away from the heat tool, and you'll be fine. Now, or actually, it's an embossing tool. A heat tool is a lot less airspeed and heat. So I'm finishing off getting the bottom of this. I hope you're doing well. It's a beautiful day here in Ohio. I heard on the news it's one of the last of the year. It's actually 70 out, and I'm so excited. I got my last enormous pile of leaves to the street, and 20 minutes later, the truck that's supposed to suck them up came by. And I'm telling you, that usually doesn't happen. Usually they blow back all over my yard before they get here. And I have all the neighbors from the streets as well, because somehow in that swirly windstorm we had, they all came to my yard. So I had the neighbors and my leaves. Well, anyhow, once you see that it's pretty well done, you can take a peek and pull back the wax paper slowly. Now you're going to lose some color on the wax paper, but that's not a huge deal. As you can see, the print is still there. And if you get to a stuck place, just take the heat tool and heat that area up again for a second. I think this was the back where the seam was, and it just needed a little coaxing to get everything going. Isn't that beautiful? Now I'm smoothing out, part of it off camera, of course. I'm smoothing out. If you have any ripples in your paper, just take your heat tool and just run it over with your finger really quickly. And it flattens out pretty easy. And then I kind of just heated up the whole thing and rolled it. Now I'm going to attach that bottom part. You have to work really quickly because it dries very fast. And I'm just rolling up that bottom, and then I sit it down to kind of smash it together. And I make sure that the top is smooth. And there she is, beautiful. Now, I just want to tell you, my mama said you never want to have a candle in the house that hasn't been lit. So I will be lighting that here in a little bit, because if my mama said it, then it must be true. She was kind of superstitious, but hey, why push it? So I'm rolling it out, and there we go. Now we're going to try the second example, which is going to be stamping on the plain collage paper. Once again, you could probably use tissue paper, and this is this year's Simon Says stamp and Tim Holtz collab. And I'm using my Fiskars stamp press because I didn't really want to put it in the MISTI. I just have that laying on a paper towel because the collage paper does leak through. So, and I didn't want it smearing the back of the collage paper. So put a paper towel under to catch any of those. I'm using VersaFine ink because I knew that it's a pigment ink and it will come off of the stamp. These stamps, this is the most I ever paid for a stamp set in my life. Now gently press. Don't press too hard or you're gonna smash the detail and it's gonna look weird. I also stamped some trees from last year's set. The thing about the Versamark ink, I really wanted these stamps to come back clean because they are selling for a fortune, and I'm probably never going to sell mine, but if I were to use the ink that stains, then it would just bug me. Now I'm going to not insult you by giving you a Copic marker lesson. That doesn't do either of us any good. But I just wanted you to see how super simple, because this takes zero talent in coloring, and that's about where I'm at. So I'm just slapping down color on the chimney there. Of course, my camera memory died, and so that's why Santa's already done. But believe me, you didn't miss anything. I'm playing around with these trees, and all I'm doing is just, taking these three colors, and I really don't know what I'm doing. So I figured the farther away, maybe the darker, but then I thought, oh, well, I'm just going to mix them all up and have fun with it. Where the etchings are darker on the trees, that's where the dark should go. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because I'm going to be putting glitter on it anyway. And so I'm just going to speedily go through this because believe me, there's nothing to be learned except for that it's super simple to color this because it's not anything exacting. You don't blend anything. You just sort of have at it. Man, I can't believe that Christmas is coming up, Thanksgiving. Oh my gosh, time flies. And then I'm always so conflicted. Do I do fall stuff? Do I do Christmas stuff? So I tried to do a little bit of both. I'm going to have a foiling thing here pretty soon. It'll have all the different ways that you can foil. So make sure you click the subscribe button and the bell so that you'll know when that comes out. And hey, any comments that you have, like, subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. This time I decided to cut down the height a little bit of the, because there was a lot of white and I wanted to be able to move up the drawing a little bit. And I'm mad because my Believe in the Magic of Christmas is a little crooked, but you know what? It's handmade, not Hallmark, as Jennifer McGuire would say. So now I'm going to roll it carefully onto the candle. And look, a big old gap. I know I measured that, but I obviously didn't get the right measurement. So I'm going to show you how I fix that in a minute. But first we must press on and go forward with the whole thing. And now I'm going to roll it again thinking, oh, maybe if I do it super tight, it'll magically get longer. But guess what? It doesn't. So I'm wrapping this with a longer piece of freezer paper and starting out again with my heat gun, super hot. Same thing we just did. So I'm not going to run through the whole thing again, but you do want to kind of keep it rolling. I can't really emphasize that enough. And I'm just kind of mooshing it down as I go. I don't know if that does anything, but I think it might. So, okay. I just don't want to bore you by rambling, but I did want you to see a pretty good chunk of this. So I'm opening this up and I'm seeing it's a little lumpy here and there, but we will fix that in a minute with our fingers. And I'm pressing, like I did the last time, the bottom, getting it all smooth, smashing it on the table to kind of get it in there tight. And then I have to figure out, oh, what am I going to do with the back? Well, it's like this. Well, first I'm going to show you just how pretty it is. And how easy was that? And it's not expensive either. Those candles are, I don't know, a few dollars a piece. So I'm going to show you the fixed part in a minute there. I happen to have practiced, which is highly unusual for me, but I did kind of want to see how the ink would work. So I just cut up a piece of that. I got it out of the trash and, heated it on there and it worked fine. So yay. Now I've got my distressed collage medium, my rock candy glitter, and some Idea-ology stars, and a lot of this is going to be a little off screen, but I think you get the drift. And then of course my camera power went off, so all I did was take a junk brush and just start putting little swipes of ink, and right now it looks kind of spotty like the Dalmatian tree or something, but it comes out looking a lot prettier when it's dry, mostly because that glue dries clear. Now that that collage medium, I shouldn't even have the lid off of it as long as I did. I should have taken a little bit out and done something, because as Tim Holtz says, it has the drying time of now. And when I put that back in the jar, when the jar gets a little bit lower, I'm going to put some press and seal in there to keep the air out of the jar. Don't just lay it over the top. Push it down in on the medium. And then when you pull it out, you can take the glue off of that and use it on your project so it's not wasted. So I'm just dumping this on. Now, here's the finished project. And it is so hard to show you how it glistens, but it truly does. There, it's tinkling. It certainly does glisten. Isn't it fun to be able to use your card making projects for other things and make these gifts, which didn't take much time and not a lot of money? So I hope that you'll have time to sit down and play. And I'm going to show you some other things that aren't cards here pretty soon. I hope you enjoyed this. Hit like, subscribe, come back and see me. Follow me on social media. I'm going to leave some videos here. Until next time. Bye-bye.